Hello everybody, I'm AskJoshy.
And I'm Frank Fields.
And we both work at IGN Pro League. You may recognize us from casting StarCraft, or sometimes I cast Shoot Mania. But both of us play a lot of Magic the Gathering, so we've decided to just have a little bit of a discussion show about some of the new cards coming out for Gatecrash, which the pre-release is on January 26th, and the set actually comes out in February. But if you didn't know, a lot of cards are being spoiled already. I like to use MagicSpoiler.com and the Magic subreddit, which is r/MagicTCG, to get all those spoilers. So if you want to get ahead of us, you can check out those sites. But we're going to be basically talking about each of the cards that are coming out as spoilers as they come out. And the first one that was officially spoiled, some cards actually kind of snuck through and got spoiled.
I think someone found them in a dumpster or something like that next to the plant. But yeah, the first one that was officially spoiled was Fathom Mage, which is a 1 green, 1 blue, and 2 colorless. It's the Simic's first card that was spoiled. It's a 1/1 creature that has Evolve. Evolve was a new mechanic that was introduced where if a creature comes in the battlefield under your control with power or toughness greater than it, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Now, this is a really cool card to introduce the mechanic because in addition to the fact that it has Evolve, whenever it gets a +1/+1 counter, you get to draw a card.
That's true. So, again, Evolve is the new mechanic for the Simic guild. If you don't know, Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash are all just full of guilds. That's 2 color combinations. Simic is green and blue. It seems to be pretty creature intensive because obviously green, that's like the motif is just lots and lots of creatures, and blue's motif is very spell oriented, so Evolve is, I think it fits.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bioengineering feel or genetically engineering feel, and it kind of makes sense when you merge the themes of green and blue together. So it's actually pretty cool, I think.
They have a lot of fish people and crocodile
frogs.
Yeah,
the crocodile frogs.
Human ooze, I think, was one of the creature
Fathom Mage
types.
is kind of like an amphibious human type looking thing. It looks actually really cool with the art.
So now that we know Evolve, again, these creatures come in as little guys like 1/1, 0/2, something like that. Maybe they have an ability. There's a 0/1 flyer, for example, with Evolve that was spoiled, and we'll talk about that later on. But Evolve could be a really, really cool mechanic if you really like playing a lot of creatures. Obviously, blue gives you the benefit of having a lot of counterspells and control at the same time. So I'm expecting a lot of tap-down mechanics because you're going to have so many creatures, and blue, that's just a way to go through.
One of the interesting things that happened in this last rotation is, Bant became a huge color combination, which is white, blue, green. This kind of adds to that, and so maybe, Fathom Mage seems it's not really, it's kind of a control-y card, but it's a little expensive for a creature. So there's a lot of different ways that you could approach this. You could try to put in a mid-range deck with, that kind of 3 to 6 mana cost creature range. But there's also something, where people could go back to, the draw-go style of playing, where people just didn't play creatures in the late game and then drop that for more card advantage. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this. The first way that I thought about using Fathom Mage was actually using things like Common Bond or Increasing Savagery to just put counters on it, which gets you a lot of cards and gets you a big creature, but it's vulnerable just like any other creature in the fact it doesn't have hexproof, it doesn't have evasion, it doesn't protect itself very well. But for me, it's the card I'm most looking forward to trying to figure out a way to break, because out of all the mechanics, especially on Fathom Mage, Evolve with the fact that when it grows gets you card advantage is really, really unique.
Yeah, Common Bond and Increasing Savagery are like the really obvious applications, and that's going to get you a big burst of cards. You can almost play it like a Sphinx's Revelation, sort of. But the thing is, like, let's say Fathom Mage gets huge, gets a ton of counters on it. After that, it's just a huge draw engine that's not. You could use it as a blocker in some instances, but you don't really want to be attacking with it because you're getting lots of card advantage from it. You don't want to ruin that, so sometimes, combat tricks could get rid of that if you screw around too much.
People have also brought up that it synergizes really well with Golgari, especially cards like Scavenger Corpse Jack Menace, so that it gets twice the amount of counters. You can try to abuse it that way. And then there's the fact that, with some of the other Simic cards that have come out, there's a way to transfer +1 counters from one creature to another, so... and then there's also ways you can use it with, say, Restoration Angel, where you get it big and then you reset it back to 1 and then enter the battlefield, and synergizes pretty well with Thrag Test because you can get 2 creatures that way. It has a lot of interactions with things that are popular in Standard right now.
Yep, so if you had to give this a score, we're going to use just a 1 through 5 scale because that's what everybody does, and it's understandable. For limited play, what do you think it's going to look like?
In limited, it's anywhere between 2 to 3 to me, because if you get things that are able to put counters on Fathom Mage, or if you just get a lot of mid-range creatures, in limited, drawing cards is really, really powerful,
Yes,
especially when you're making your creature bigger while you're drawing cards. And if Fathom Mage gets up to like a 6/6, like, it's hard to actually stop that in limit. There's not a lot of creatures that'll be able to just one-on-one that in combat, and it's already knighted you a ton of cards. In Constructed, it's hard. I want to say 3, but it's probably closer to 2.5, I guess, would be the way you'd say it, because while it is something that you might be able to break, it's not really that strong by itself.
And it's 4 mana.
And it's 4 mana. Whereas cards, obviously, like Thragtusk is in almost any deck that has green, that's just good by itself. Whereas Fathom Mage, you kind of have to find a way to break it.
That's true. It requires other pieces to the puzzle, but in Limited, I agree. Drawing cards is just crazy good. I'm a little curious how drafts will go with all the evolved creatures. You don't necessarily want a ton of evolvers because then you're not triggering it as often.
Yeah.
So you're going to want a good balance of evolved creatures and other green and blue creatures that are just, fatties. So you can keep everything growing at once. And we obviously still need a lot more cards spoiled to see if Fathom Mage is going to be that must-have card or not. So. I don't know as much about Constructed. I would say it's probably a little lower than Frank is hoping.
Yeah.
I think he's just excited about it.
I'm optimistic, yeah.
I'm going to give it a 2. It's not obviously not useless, but again, it requires other pieces, and that can be tough in Standard when you've got things that are running around by themselves, being very powerful. So I think that's pretty much it for Fathom Mage. Thanks very much for watching. This is our pilot episode. We're going to go ahead and record a few of these all at once just so we can get a hang of how we're going to have these discussions, and please feel free to comment on the video, share it with your friends if you'd like to, and follow us on Twitter, and I guess that's it. I'll go ahead and put the Twitter names below us. Yeah, that'll be good. Alright, and that made it into the video, so thanks very much. We'll be back with more Magic reviews, and possibly a show name at some point in the future as well. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Alright, see you guys.
Bye, guys.